if this search continues on overnight until tomorrow, there is a chance that schools in the area may be closed. Of course, you can depend on us to let you know if that happens. Some small piece of furniture like this can get knocked over really easily. The fire truck is almost impossible to miss if you keep your eyes on the road. It's when you look down and away from the road that you can tell the lights aren't as noticeable. Standing just outside, we're being told some of the first residents who are seeking shelter are now starting to show up. But I want to show you what one homeowner had to deal with earlier today. Just take a look behind me. A massive tree came down. So we went tape by tape here in our archives, and we did find that one tape that had our story from 1988. That battery is going to power the microphone that you see here. It doesn't look like your traditional microphone, but that's what it is in this case. Having a preference of one race or another, you wouldn't consider that to be a racist ideology? To see the record until Tuesday. It takes the hospital a few days to realize the assigned doctor on the document is out of town.
The folks at Go Dive now provide you the gear, the lessons, and a whole bunch of water.
My scarf here, all I did, just pull it up over the ears. My brain became a little humorous. I started trying to think of some weird puns for this. Fat cat's obviously the easy one. Tubby tabby. And then I came across kitten, but I can't think of a K or C word that goes with that. So we've seen a lot of different squad cars coming in and out of this road. Again, Highway 283 closed right now. I mentioned a little earlier that the schools, the elementary, middle, and high school in Whitwell are closed tomorrow. That's just one little example of how much this search has affected this community.
James Torrez broke the story last week and has been following it ever since. James, what's new this evening?
Yeah, Josh and Kim, I'm standing in front of the door now of Richmond Monuments. You can see here these two UPS notes. Those have been there ever since we first told you this story early last week. No evidence here that anyone with the company has been here. Tonight, we now know that people who are calling themselves victims to this store are turning to a Facebook page to grieve and to share their stories. This new public Facebook group is titled Victims of Witchmans. It's where dozens of people can share a story they all have in common.
I left voicemail messages after my visit there. He never called me back.
Libby Beans says she bought a gravestone from Witchman Monuments after her father died. These receipts show she paid more than $800 for it. She says it made her sick knowing how many people shared the same story.
You think, well, I was stupid or whatever, you know, I was suckered into something, but no, it's not just you individually, it's the person that did it and did it to a lot of people.
Jerry Rich from Alabama says he ordered 3 monuments from the company before without an issue. The 4th stone for his wife is when he found himself in the same spot as everyone else on this page.
We were married 50 years and 2 months and 17 days. She battled cancer for 8 years.
News Channel 9 tracked a cell phone number for Trent Witchman, the company's current owner, from his business card.
You've reached the voicemail of Trent Witchman with the Witchman Monument.
We also once again dialed the company's phone number.
The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages at this time.
While these dozens of people say they are starting to feel a sense of community by sharing stories with each other, they are still longing for an explanation.
My dad would have been a very forgiving person. I'm like, that's okay, but...
And for some, they say an explanation might not be enough.
I can't say that I'm forgiving for this.
And a little bit of good news coming out of all of these stories tonight. We're told that several other local monument companies are now reaching out to some of those people and offering them some of the services that Witchman has not yet given to them at either a hugely discounted rate or in some cases completely free. You never know when that one call will come in.
Your name? Casey Longone.
And during this call out of East Ridge,
I shot my mother and one of my best friends.
Operator Todd Wooten says he fell back on what he learned in training.
My initial reaction was to find out the incident of where the people were shot so that we could get some ambulances rolling that way in case the people that were shot could be helped.
Within minutes, East Ridge police confirmed the 2 murders, but Wooten quickly learns he's not just dealing with a murder call.
And where are you at? I'm heading to kill myself.
Wooten shifts from approaching Lawhorn as a threat to the public to approaching him as a threat to himself. Falling back on training again, he works to get more critical information from Lawhorn.
Do you have a weapon on you right now?
The same firearm that I used to kill them.
But the biggest goal here, keep Lawhorn until they can find him.
Are you in Tennessee?
Yes.
Are you driving on the interstate?
I don't want to disclose any more information about my location.
But he does disclose more. Lawhorn tells operators he's headed to a walking trail in Soddy Daisy. They figured out he's lying.
With our cell phone technology, we could obviously see that he was not headed to Soddy Daisy at that time, that he was on 24 approaching 59.
Wooten started to run out of things to say. That's when Catherine Roundtree entered the phone call.
So we might have somebody else join us here on the line that might have a few more questions for you, okay?
A fresh voice in the conversation with fresh ideas on how to handle it.
One that works well is using their name. If you call somebody by name, it seems to calm them down and focus them back on the questions that you're asking.
Casey, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you driving right now?
I just stopped.
But where did he stop? Roundtree tries to clarify, knowing Lawhorn has been misleading.
Now, are you in Hamilton County right now, or are you in Alabama?
Lawhorn seems to pick up on her suspicion.
I'm in Hamilton County.
I just kept trying to offer him help and let him know that, there were officers that were trained and that we could send to help him, and there were places that he could go to get help.
I mean, if you just killed one of your best friends and your mother, would you even want to continue?
It's never too late to get help, Casey.
The conversation lasts for 28 minutes before Lawhorn brings it to a sudden end.
If you don't mind, I'm going to hang up now so I can have a few minutes to myself before I pull the trigger for the last
Hey,
time.
listen to me, Casey. Can you tell me where you're going to be? Casey? Can you come back to the phone for a minute?
Whether it's a murder-suicide
911 location of your emergency, crash with injury,
or a wreck, these operators say they don't have time during the call to think about what happened or who they spoke to. But calls like that of Casey Lawhorn kept ringing in their minds.
In general, most of the times when I leave work, I can just wipe the slate clean. That stayed with me for about 2 days.
I mean, the whole phone call, it's just not a call that we've ever had before. So I think the whole call in itself will stick out.
Leaving them one valuable message.
At any time, that phone could ring and you could get that call.
Where I'm standing here on Tally Road isn't too far from where that bus crashed here almost a year ago. Take a look behind me. You can see there are a lot of homes nearby this area. Many of these residents and these neighbors tell me that some of the things that they saw and heard last year are some things that they will never forget. There are sounds on Tally Road that neighbors around here have heard for years. From Felicia Adams' home,
it was terrible.
there was one noise that came around this corner that she'll hear for the rest of her life.
The screaming from the bus, what I heard, is best described as when you're at Six Flags and you hear people on a roller coaster. That's what I heard first.
Just down the road, Jimmy Pringle heard those screams too.
We heard some children sound like a fight.
But what they saw turned out to be much worse. On the Monday before Thanksgiving last year, this school bus crashed and wrapped around a tree on Tally Road. The accident killed 6 students and injured dozens others.
I saw a lot of children bleeding.
These neighbors quickly ran to give a helping hand.
Most of the children wanted the parents. They wanted someone with them.
I called parents for the kids who knew their numbers. I called parents and told them that, your child is okay. They're in my yard. I'm sitting with them.
These blue and gold ribbons remind the neighborhood of those terrifying moments. And now, almost 1 year later, the noises on Tally Road continue to haunt some of these neighbors.
Going to Six Flags and Lake Winnipesaukee and places like that is hard for me because the screams that resemble amusement park is exactly what I heard, which drew me outside in the first place. And that's how the children sound, so it's too much.
Adams tells me that both she and members of her family had to go through some grief counseling after the bus crash in order to cope with some of the things that they heard and saw from that day. Reporting live from Tally Road in Chattanooga, James Torrez, News Channel 9.